Imagine waiting your whole life to bring your own baby into the world, just to find out you're unable for reasons you cannot even control. Approximately 12% of women in the United States are not able to have children, and that doesn't even count the same-sex couples. People all over the U.S. have this reality every day, and a lot of them choose to use a surrogate. Sarah Wagner being one of them, mother of 3, 2 of them being the result of a surrogacy pregnancy. Lots of people don't even really know what surrogacy is. Surrogacy is when a woman carries the baby of 2 individuals, and in most cases, the baby is in no way related to the surrogate. A former surrogate, Susan Bittner, explains her experiences of her pregnancies.
If you're married, your spouse has to talk to a psychologist to make sure you understand, emotionally what you're doing. Then once you get matched, you have some more physical tests to make sure that everything is still in working order. I had twins twice, and the first set of twins was actually quadruplets originally, and we did a selective reduction down to twins.
There are 2 types of surrogacy, gestational and traditional. Gestational surrogacy is when a surrogate is implanted with a fertilized embryo by IVF, in vitro fertilization, using the intended mother's egg in the father or sperm donor's sperm. Traditional surrogacy is when the surrogate uses her own egg with either a sperm donor or the intended father's sperm, but not for the surrogate. Sarah Wagner talks about her experience with her surrogate and how the pregnancy went as a whole.
I think that we did 2 transfers of some of the frozen embryos that didn't work. And then on the 3rd transfer, it was the last of the frozen embryos, which is awesome because I don't have anything, frozen somewhere that I have to worry about. And that was the twins. It just made me feel like it's got to work. Like, if it's not going to work with her, it's not going to work.
The actual surrogacy process goes like this. The egg from the intended mother and the sperm from the intended father are put into a lab to make an embryo. This is called IVF. From there are 3 things you can do. Freeze the embryos, re-inject into the intended mother, or get a surrogate and put the embryos into the surrogate. Companies usually put no more than 3 embryos into a woman, though there are some rare cases. All of them don't usually last, but in the case that more than one does, this is why multiples are resulted. Sarah Wagner continues.
There's still a chance, even when they put the embryos in, that they can split and become identical twins. So I think we would start with thawing 3 or 4, and then usually 2 or 3 would make it, and we'd put them in. But that last time, the last transfer that we did, I think that there were 5, and Betsy said, let's just thaw them all and we'll see try to thaw them all and we'll see what makes.
Though Illinois, the state where Sarah Wagner and her surrogate Betsy had her twins, is a very pro-surrogacy state, there are a few states such as Michigan, New York, New Jersey, Louisiana, and Washington that surrogacy is illegal, as well as many countries including Italy, France, Iceland, and many more. This is why many people come to pro-surrogacy states to recruit, so they don't have to do it illegally. Susan Bittner, former surrogate, continues talking about her experience being a surrogate in Missouri.
I had a friend who could not get pregnant, and I thought that was pretty awful, but I didn't match with her because she ended up adopting, so then I found an agency and thought I would help someone else have kids. I live in Missouri, so surrogacy isn't legal here, but it's not illegal here. So after the baby or babies are born, I'm actually on the birth certificate. My husband is actually on the birth certificate. So then you have to go to court, and the parents have to get their names put on the birth certificate. You can't really need the money to be a surrogate. They want you to be doing it for other reasons.
Surrogacy can be a very long process and take anywhere from 11 months all the way to years. Even with all this time and effort, there is no guarantee it will be successful. Surrogacy has a 75% success rate in the United States. Betsy Van Etten was the surrogate of Sarah's twins and explains how she connected with the parents.
It was something that I had been intrigued with really for my whole life. I mean, I am, by profession, I deliver babies, and so I am very comfortable with and very interested in the just amazing miracle that is birth. And so even as a very young child, I think I was 10 years old, but I remember at that age just being super intrigued. And I think just as I grew professionally and my education continued, and I knew more about what surrogacy was. I just became more and more interested in it and knew that I was open to far prior to the opportunity presenting itself.
There are some people who like to have a relationship with their surrogates, like Sarah and Betsy, while others do not get involved in the pregnancy at all. Surrogates have many rights, and they work out each side's morals through their lawyers that the parents of the baby have to pay for. This is just to make sure that the surrogate does not have to do anything that they are not okay with, but also so that the intended parents can make sure that their baby will be fine. A surrogate expert, who would like to remain nameless, explains why she thinks people become surrogates.
To help others build their families, to make their dreams come true. Almost much of our gestational surrogates, they want to help others to make their dreams come true and to build their family. The best part of becoming a gestational surrogate, and this is what we've heard from other surrogates, is at the end during the delivery, when they do deliver the baby or the babies and their intended parents are in the delivery room and they finally get to meet their bundle of joy and the tears are flowing down their face, showing appreciation, the overwhelmness of excitement.
Though in the end, almost all the people who go through surrogacy on either side think it is worth it. It is usually quite costly. Altogether, the intended parents pay anywhere from $30,000 all the way to $130,000. This is because IVF is expensive as is, but they also have to be able to fully compensate the surrogate in any problems that may arise. Scott Zielinski talks about how he chose to adopt his baby over getting a surrogate.
Well, we did look into surrogacy, but it's really, really expensive. And we also didn't really feel the need to control the type of baby we had. We're really open to any type of ethnicity. And we know that there are a lot of kids who need homes and moms who don't really necessarily want their babies. Our birth mom had some personal issues, so she canceled the day she was supposed to sign and terminate the rights. We had temporary rights, but the day when she was supposed to do the permanent one, she canceled the day of, like literally an hour before. So we were really nervous, but then it all went through fine, and she rescheduled for like 2 days later. But the mom has the right. So it was very nerve-wracking, and no matter how positive she said, that the baby was going to be ours, there still was a chance that when she met our baby, I was afraid she'd see her and be like, oh, I want that baby and you can't have her. And the reality is, if she said that, we'd have to be cool with it.
There are many things that the surrogate has to be approved for before they can be a surrogate. They have to do physical tests to make sure that they are physically healthy. They also have to do a psych screening to make sure they are mentally stable. So, you cannot really have any past history of mental illness to become a surrogate. Also, you have to have at least one past pregnancy. The age limit is from 21 to approximately 40. Betsy Van Etten continues explaining the testing that she had to have done.
Definitely, there were a lot more complications. I spent about 6 weeks in the hospital. I had kidney stones, I had gallstones, and ultimately I was very, very sick at the end of the pregnancy. And when I went into labor, they would not stop it anymore because of how sick I was. Even with all the complications that resulted from the pregnancy and the fact that it's now 9.5 years later, I have to say that it was one of the most fulfilling and incredible experiences of my whole life.
There are many reasons why people use surrogates. The reason most people think about is because the woman is infertile or not able to carry her baby to full term, but it can also be because of heart problems. Pregnancy is a huge strain on the body, and if you have heart conditions, birth can lead to death. Also, LGBTQ+ couples use surrogates to have a baby. Overall, surrogacy is a way to have a baby that is your blood without endangering yourself. Sarah Wagner talks about some difficulties that came up during her surrogate's pregnancy.
And I think by the time that we went to our second appointment, there were 3 heartbeats. But one of them was always slower and wasn't growing as fast, and the doctors kind of prepared us all along, like, it's going to be twins. Like, this third one isn't going to stay. And that was fine. That was okay, Yeah. But twins were an incredible blessing, because if I had not had infertility issues, I would have had 6 kids if I could. I love kids, love having my guys. And so the twins, that was just the biggest blessing ever, because, it wasn't like we were going to do it again.
Though surrogacy can be a long and very unique process, practically everyone who is a part of it comes out not regretting it. Sarah Wagner has 2 very happy twins who are the product of a successful surrogacy and couldn't be any happier, thanks to their surrogate, Betsy Van Etten, who has 6 healthy kids of her own. Susan Bittner also had 2 very successful surrogacy pregnancies. This has been What is Surrogacy with Kelly Van Netten.